Everybody, J.M. Manion here at the NPC Photo Gym in Pittsburgh, and I am here doing the road to the Olympia with
Guy Cisternino.
All right, so Guy, this is your second time here, right?
Yeah. He was here, I think, 2015 or 16, right before the Pittsburgh Pro. I guest posed with the big guys, and I came here and did a shoot with you and Roden.
Yes. Yeah, but this looks a lot different than from back then, right?
A lot more stuff in here than back then. A lot more stuff. There's a lot more clothes back in the NPC, an IFBB room for the NPC wear. There's a ton of stuff in the gym. They added a bunch of pieces here. I mean, you don't even really have to go anywhere else if you're in Pittsburgh to train, but not everybody can train here.
Yeah, well, Guy said he's going to just sleep here through the weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep here probably for the next 3 weeks. I can wake up and do my cardio and train. I don't have to go anywhere else until I leave for Orlando. Makes my life a lot easier.
We probably wouldn't even notice.
No. Keep it all to myself.
That's it.
Nice and clean.
That's it. All right, so Guy, it's been a while since you've been in the Olympia, right? I'm just looking for that black cloud that seems to follow you.
I'm hoping that it got blown far away.
It's all nice and white here now.
It needs to stay white, at least for the next 3 weeks.
So you've had so many things that just, I mean, I couldn't even comprehend going through everything you've gone through.
Yeah.
You know, the skin.
Yep, that was in 17. It was the burns from the tanning bed. Yep.
Okay. You know,
double shoulder surgery.
Right.
Then it was the car. Then it was the herniation of my back. And then it was, well, the beast thing was completely different. That was just a stupid thing that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just one thing after, especially during this quarantine, it was like, I didn't know if me even coming back was an honest possibility. Even after I won Niagara Pro in November, I just like the shitstorm of stuff just kept piling on. So it was like, at what point am I going to catch a break, you know? But people ask, like, why do you keep going? And I say, because I'm still breathing. So if you're still breathing, you got to keep trying.
Right.
You know? There's no point to give up. So I just kept trucking along and doing what I did.
Right. Can you believe it's been a year since you competed?
No, I can't.
It's weird, right?
It doesn't make any sense that, like, normally now it's like when everybody's like getting fat and like eating and like enjoying the off season, and we're like dieting through the holidays. And literally, I think I get back from Orlando on the 21st, which gives me like 3 days before like all hell breaks loose on Christmas, and we're eating everything. Right. So it doesn't feel real. But I think what's kind of cool is that it's in Orlando, like Disney's right there. It's going to be like Christmas time, so you know it'll give people kind of some extra time to maybe do some cool things. I mean, we've all been to Vegas. Not that the Vegas venue isn't great and we don't love it, but you know, with the cards that were dealt and all the other sporting events that got canceled, the fact that everybody got together and was able to put this together and shows how much they believe and they love the sport, because there's a lot of major sporting events that got completely canceled for the full year. So as many people that were complaining that, oh, this got moved or this is happening, it's like, shut your mouth, because everybody's doing what they need to make this happen for the athletes. Right.
And that Tampa-Orlando corridor has turned out to be a godsend.
Yes.
You know, for both the pro contests and our NPC national contests. I mean, to have both Masters Nationals and Nationals there within 5 weeks of each other in the same venue that we're having the Olympia. I mean, that's kind of like how that all happened with the Olympia too, is, you know, building up the relationship there and, you know, having it nice. And then everything that happened over in Tampa, you know, with New York Pro in Tampa and other things going on. I mean,
Florida's been a big saving grace to the sport.
And the Tampa Pro was the first big contest back for everybody.
And it was a great turnout.
Right.
So I'm just hoping that things keep going in the positive direction that it's been going in for you know, all the athletes, and we're able to you know, I think moving it. Some people would say, oh, moving it was a bad idea, but what's a show without the fans? Like what's going into the Orleans with dead silence, or a couple hundred people there? And now we have the chance where we could have a couple thousand.
And I know, for those of you that have never been in the Zappos Theater, I've been in it several times to go see a bunch of concerts or, you know, residencies with different, you know, artists and stuff. And that theater it's huge. It's like 7,000, 7,500, depending on the configuration of the stage. To have maybe a couple hundred people in there, it would just be
like you could hear a pin drop.
Right. Yeah. They'd probably have to black everything out in the back. You'd be in this humongous, this phenomenal theater, but
with nobody.
With nobody.
And I think it would be awkward for the competitors to be just standing there hitting poses with just like 7 judges, and that's it.
Right.
You know, because you
And some media, that's it.
Yeah, but there's no, like, you want to hear the crowd, you want to get hyped up, you want to get excited, and doing it with dead silence doesn't seem that fun. So I would take a venue with more fans over a venue with less fans any day, even
Right.
if I had to change last minute plans and do what I had to do. And
Right.
the Olympia committee Jake Wood did a phenomenal job with literally overnight announcing it was in Orlando, and within seconds there was emails, flights changed, everybody reaching out, like, they didn't skip a beat.
Right.
So it wasn't like this was a complete, cluster bomb at the end and it was a mess. It was very precisely put together and planned out very accordingly, and so the way I've seen it, really no bumps in the road since they've changed it to Orlando.
Right. So those of us that have been to nationals and the Masters Nationals are familiar with everything. And the convention center is the largest convention center in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that we're going to be able to have some form of an expo also.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. And we still get to have the Amateur Olympia.
Which is even better.
Yes. So everything, and have an audience at the Amateur Olympia too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a really cool place. If you were at nationals and you saw how it was sectioned off in 3, like the contest was here, they had the kind of the backstage area in the middle, and then they had where all the check-ins were. Those walls are going to be pushed in, and the whole Olympia is going to be the whole thing.
So now there's going to be segregated, so there's more.
It's the big,
Yeah.
big ballroom. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, anybody that's been to the Olympia and competing in Vegas, yeah, I've been there 6 times. This is my 7th one. It'll be fun competing on a different stage,
It's only the second time it's been in Orlando.
Yeah. It used to get moved around, but that was years ago.
That was 91. That was Lee Haney's 8th Olympia.
That was number 8.
That was it, and it was in Disney World.
That's
I was
crazy.
there.
That's awesome.
I was there.
I was not that old then. I wasn't watching it then.
You had to say that.
82, I was what, 9? I wasn't watching bodybuilding. Probably.
It was in the
13.
90s.
Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. I thought you said 92.
91.
91. So.
You're still young.
Yeah, I was too young. Too young to be training, following bodybuilding.
Well, I was there. So.
Those were the days, man, when, because the Olympia back then used to bounce around, right?
Yes.
It wasn't, because it was in New York, it was all over the place. They had, I think every year was different place. It wasn't just
Yes.
standard. It wasn't until, it was like the late 90s or early
99.
2000s? Yeah, where they kept it in Vegas.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, since 99, that's where it's been.
Yeah. But
You know?
listen, I mean, I have no problem with it being in Orlando. I think, I think the only trouble that anybody's going to run into is people overseas with just running into issues with the whole restrictions as far as who has to quarantine this.
No, I think because we put that notice out from the IFBB Pro League for the athletes to contact them, because there's ways to get here, and yet they have to have some paperwork and different things. So it's not as difficult as people are thinking.
No, what I'm saying is it's more difficult for them, but
Yeah.
the emails that I saw, they made it very known that it's difficult, but we can figure it all out because there's a way to go about doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Which is good, because it's able to, it's not easier. I mean, either way, the people that were going to Vegas were going to have the same troubles going to Vegas as they would come into Orlando.
Right.
It just last minute flight change and stuff like that, but they did, like I
Right.
said, a phenomenal job of getting everything coordinated apparently. But I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, like I said, being in Florida that time of year, because it's more festive, right by Disney, right by all that stuff,
Right.
than it would be in Vegas. So I think for the time of year, I think it couldn't have been really a better place.
Right.
Yeah.
So do I have bad breath? Because you keep drifting this way.
I think it's me. It's probably the vegetable and chicken breath that I have. I'm trying to make sure you don't smell it.
I was like, I'm okay, I think.
I'm probably one that stinks. I haven't stopped. No, you're good. He smells like a
Don't even go there, don't go there.
a car air freshener.
All right, so Guy, one of the things that happened this year, unfortunately, is you did catch the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Tell us, everybody, like, when did that happen? And it had you down for quite a while, right?
It did. Yeah. I mean, it had me down. It had me down, but not out. Meaning, like, I was still able to I was still going to the gym. I don't disclose where I trained because the gym owner shut the gym down, but I was allowed to train because he knew I qualified for the Olympia, and he didn't want to, leave any stone unturned when it came to me training for it. But yeah, I caught it right around beginning of March because my birthday was the 21st, and I remember seeing the only person I knew that was sick back then was my old training partner, Rich. and he came to one of the gyms where I was at before all this Corona stuff started, and he said that he wasn't feeling well, and then the next week he called me, he said him and his wife had upper respiratory and they had bronchitis. So the week before my birthday, I was out to eat with my parents, and I remember sitting, I'm like, man, I do not feel right, like something's not right.
Right.
And I went to the doctor, and they said I had bronchitis. And then before they ever announced anything about smell or taste, I kept complaining to my buddies. I'm like, man, I can't smell or taste a damn thing. Like, it's, I've been able to not smell, but not smell and taste at the same time.
Right.
If you lose one, you usually can still sense with the other.
Right.
But I literally had none. Then finally my buddy called me. He's like, hey, did you see the news? And I'm like, no, why? He goes, they just said that like one of the big signs of Corona was loss of smell and taste. And I was like, ah, shit. So I went and got tested. My first test came back inconclusive. So this was probably about 6 weeks of me already having it. And then I got tested another week later. That came back negative, and the doctor was like, listen, you absolutely have it or had it. She was like, you could have gotten tested now and already kicked your system. But she goes, I remember when you were here the first time.
Right.
She's like, I was coughing, breathing very, very heavy, couldn't smell, couldn't taste. And at night I would get very flushed, but I never had a fever. So I was very confused as to why I wasn't having a fever. But it took me about 12 weeks to get my smell and taste back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it took me forever. Some people it took like a week or two. It took me 12 weeks. Ended up getting a blood clot in my right calf because of it, because a lot of people don't know that the virus is a clotting virus. So it clots things in your body. So I ended up getting a blood clot in my right leg. I was on Xarelto for 3 months, and then right before I got cleared from the Xarelto, I ended up getting cellulitis in my left leg. So it was like a lot of residual stuff, and my breathing wasn't really great for a while after, because it did a number on my lungs. So is it as bad as people make it out to be? If you're unhealthy or immune compromised, yeah, it's not going to be fun, because I was pretty healthy. I mean, I trained through it, but my workouts took me hours because my breathing was so atrocious.
Right.
But I was able to get through it, and I think a lot of people, what happens is they get it, and then they sit home. But the problem is, if you're sick and something that's attacking your lungs, you have to figure out a way to counteract it. So I was doing cardio every morning. I was trying to make my body stronger in the parts that I knew it was attacking. So I'm like, if I know this is coming out through my lungs, I'm going to do cardio to keep my lungs as healthy as possible. So I still do cardio every day now. Right. Regardless if Chris wants me doing cardio, I do it just to keep my heart and my lungs healthy, because it's scary. Not being able to breathe normal for that period of time is a very weird and odd feeling.
Right.
But if you take the precautions and if you do the correct things, the virus isn't as bad as people make it out to be. So if anybody out there is watching this and considering, I want to compete, or I'm thinking about getting into the gym, if any other reason rather than just to be more healthy, to be able to combat things like this, I encourage you guys to at least take a leap of faith and just do something active to make yourself a little bit more healthier on the inside,
Right.
So, yeah, it sucked, but I was able to battle through it, and I didn't miss a single. My training partner actually goes, there's no way you have Corona, because you can't be this strong and be that sick, but it was not fun, but I managed to get through it.
When do you think you were finally over it? About?
Well, so that was the blood clot. So I March, April, probably beginning of May, I was over it. But then the end of May was the 26th or 27th of May. That's when I got the blood clot.
Okay.
So it was like I was feeling good, and then one day I felt like I got shot in the calf, and I thought I tore my calf. And then 2 weeks later, it got all red. I took a picture, sent it to my doctor. He goes, "You need to go to the ER like right now." And I was like, "Here we go." So I went to the ER, and then they did an ultrasound. They're like, "Yeah, you have a TVT in your calf." I'm like, Jesus. It's like one thing after another, But it's a testament. They say God gives its strongest challenges to its toughest soldiers. So I just hope that remains true at some point,
So are you happy about the Olympia actually being on the East Coast, so there's no time change?
Oh, it's great. I'm going out early as I would anyway, but I usually go out a week early. But the 3 hours usually takes about 3 days to finally adapt to. Now that I don't have to, everybody coming from Vegas, now you guys have to see what it's like.
Right.
You coming from the other side have to deal with what we have to deal with all the time.
There you go.
Yep. Touche.
All right. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Man, first and foremost, I always say it whenever I do interviews, if it wasn't for, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I would not be where I am today and do what I do. IFBB and NPC, if it wasn't for them, me and JM had a long talk about this conversation, but if it wasn't for the IFBB and the NPC being the organization I wouldn't be where I am and be able to have done the things and accomplished the things that I've accomplished. So if it wasn't for that group, JM, Jim, Steve Weinberger, Bev, the whole crew, Bill, who came today, he put me through posing, Tyler, if it wasn't for all those guys, Maz Ali, Gary Uda, I wouldn't be really where I am today as an athlete and be able to do what I do and help the people that I help, inspire the people that I hope to inspire. Obviously, my sponsors, Blackstone Labs, Gasp, Cardillo, Atomics, Made to Macro. It's amazing to me that I even have sponsors or endorsement contracts, because I never thought in a million years a little guy from Jersey would be in a position that I'm in, but I'm very blessed, and things come full circle. Me and PJ have been friends for 20 years, finally linked up, signed with Blackstone Labs this year. Michael Johansson from Gasp is like, they're like another family over there to me. So, I'm very blessed to be in the position that I am as an athlete and as a businessman in the sport of bodybuilding and the NPC and IFBB. So, I mean, like we said, if this organization didn't exist, a lot of careers wouldn't exist. So,
Right.
Regardless if you're a current, coming up, or past, you respect the organization in which gave you light and made you who you are. Although we say we did this ourselves and we trained and we put in the work, if this organization wasn't here, none of that other shit would exist. So, thanks to all you guys out there, and thanks obviously to all the fans that follow, not only myself, but the NPC, the IFBB, and we all appreciate each and every one of you every single day, because if it wasn't for the fans and you guys being involved as much as you and loving the sport as much as you guys love it, we wouldn't really have anything to showcase the day of the show. So we appreciate you guys just as much. So thanks to all you guys.
All right. I think that's the perfect way to end it. So I'll see all of you and you in 3 weeks on stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coming for that title, man. We're coming to battle.
That's it.
Yep.
That's what I like to hear. All right, so JM Manion,
Guys, Cisternino.
signing out for NPC News Online. We'll see you in Orlando.